And welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves. And as always, I'm delighted to be in your presence to talk to you about financial strategies, resources, and trends to enable you and your family to be prepared financially for the days ahead. I cannot emphasize how essential this program is. And I cannot thank enough DATV, which has promoted community broadcasting nationally for over 25 plus years. I've been with them for 13, and it has always been a distinct pleasure and privilege to work with the staff, Ben, artist, who's been with me for 13 years, Melissa, Constantine, Randy Phillips. The whole group are just amazing. And for people that say, why do you make that drive up from Cincinnati to Dayton to this television station every week? Now it's every 2 weeks, but it was every week for years. And do they pay you? The issue is no, they don't need to pay me. I need to pay them for what they are allowing the public to access, the information that is so critical and necessary. Where are you going to get this information from? That's the question you should ask yourselves as we move ahead on today's topic, which is the conclusion of my 4-part series on caring for seniors. And why did I choose this topic? Because I've never seen anything like this in my 40 plus years in the industry, where people literally are retiring and then going into nursing homes because they have a fall or because they get sick, critically don't get better. I'm seeing this happening right now. And I'm looking at people with fewer and fewer resources available to pay for these. It's not just about retiring today, people, and families listen well. It's about being able to afford to retire and to make sure as a part of your retirement profile that you have looked at all of your options for funding nursing home care. That is the big boy in the room. It's not how much money you're funding a trust or anything else, or whether you're leaving a legacy for your children. You may not have money enough to have a legacy. Your legacy may be the years that you were able to bring joy into the family before you became infirm. That is so major. And I'm going to share something with all of you when we talk about funding and how important it is. And please forgive my formatting. I wear glasses. Yes, I do. So I can see the computer. Yeah, your eyes start getting old too. And you start having more and more conditions relating to your eyes. This is all new for me. I've always had poor eyes, but I was not blind. But I'm here to tell you that as you get older, things really do change. And I wanted to be able to give you accurate and current information, that I have notes on my computer. So it meant I had to bring my computer to the studio. And I said, well, if I'm going to get comfortable, let me drink my tea as well, which I'm doing. Turmeric and ginger herbal tea, excellent for heart, digestion, and vitality. So I brought that with me in my favorite mug that I've had for many years from a peer of mine, and got it out of Dallas with my name on it. So anybody, if I leave it anywhere, and I have People don't want it because my name's on it. So on that note, computer here, notes here, and everything I need to be able to talk to you openly about nursing homes and about what happens when you have to go that road. And how do you know you're going to have to go that road? Well, because humans are not like cars. You cannot replace a heart with an alternator. Not possible. And they're trying to replace knees and hips with parts, but they hurt because the body will not accept them. I don't care what anybody says, you're going to have to do a cane or walk, in many cases, with assistance. Now, if you're blessed to not have that going, wonderful, but many do. These are some of the things that happen. They begin to send out warning, 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 and then your heart, oh, it's 24/7. It never quits. But we put stress on heart. We put all kinds of things on heart. And stress, by the way, is the number one killer for seniors. Too much pressure, starting with your kids. You want so much for them. You want them to do so much better than you did. And they're just determined to go the opposite direction. But you love them. And the grandchildren, oh, they make you go crazy. You just love them so much. So the positives of aging are clearly before you. Take advantage of them, because the other side of aging is also before you as well. And you need to be keenly aware of what that looks like and feels like. So let's talk about, and since this is my last show on this series on care for seniors, let's understand a couple of things. We're looking at the largest migration of baby boomers into the senior category. The next 10 years are unprecedented. The number of baby boomers born after World War II, cycle ended in the early 60s. These are the people that brought you a whole new change of thinking, Woodstock, soul power, everything. It was just Chicago. It was just one big glob. And during that period, the Vietnam War, the protests, the fighting, picketing, all the above, press for diversity. Yeah, I said it because that's what it was. Lyndon Johnson ushered in the war on poverty, determined that America could win the battle on poverty. And Texas man, true to the spirit of Texas, ride 'em cowboy. But poverty's still here. People still doing what they're doing. I believe mini skirts and hot pants are back. And so it's just one big cycle. One thing he did not plan for was the absolute deterioration of our health. Despite all the money we have over here, our people are ranked somewhere near the bottom in terms of quality of life and health. Everybody else is living, we're dying. Cancer, cancer, cancer. Okay, where's it coming from? Depends on your school of thought. Bad air, bad water, bad food, animals fighting and biting, plants looking weird and droopy. The fish, you can't find them. They bailed out. They're like, oh, we're not going to ride this one. So we have epidemic cancer. We have the number of people that are dying from just unspeakable. I don't even know how to pronounce the names of some of these diseases. But it's crossed the nation, and it has put extreme pressure on the cost of care, which means that it doesn't matter how much money you have if you're dying from cancer. It just doesn't. What you would give for a year more of life from cancer. And they're doing the research, but the reality is that the number of people that are leaving here from cancer is truly frightening. We all have friends that have left after valiant battles with cancer. It's the most popular insurance product that I offer, which is, are you going to buy some cancer insurance? Well, do I need it? Well, yeah. According to data, you would want it to pay for your care while you're undergoing treatment, because that's another story and another show. I have a dearly beloved friend that has had breast cancer for over 20 years. It goes away and it comes back, and it goes away and it comes back, and it goes away. And it's been gone for 4 years. And I'm so thrilled that she's had 4 more years this last cycle of living. I won't get into the cost of her care and what she's had to go through with her family and her children who are watching their beloved mother with this horrible, horrible disease. Okay? Cost of care. Cost of living. How are you going to live through this? Who's going to take care of you? How are you going to pay your bills? Young people are experiencing it, but older people are as well. And last I looked, cancer is pretty final. I mean, if you're diagnosed, you get treatment, you follow protocol, and you pray you can get through this round. I don't want to sound macabre. I want to talk to you straight, because we're grown people. And this is a conversation that needs to be had for all of us. All of us, okay? Along with cancer, I won't tell you that drugs, all kinds, legal and illegal, will take you out. I can tell you that a loss of use of a particular organ, like kidneys, will take you out. Oh, they can delay, but they cannot deny. So this is why this particular show is dealing with funding options for care, long-term care. And because it's so important, then I'm going to take my time. Now, the last show I did was on Medicaid, which is a product of the federal government to assist people in taking care of themselves in custodial environments, such as long-term care, such as nursing homes. And you will find that's a maze. I just went through it with a gentleman who I was not able to help. Believe it or not, I'm not God nor his angelic host. I'm just a human being who has great compassion, knowledge, and boots on the ground, which is wisdom, to talk to people about a variety of their circumstances. And this man, I could not help, period. And it broke my heart. Why? Because he is in a nursing facility. He is getting Medicaid to pay, and he's getting one source of income from Social Security disability. He needs tremendous care and support, and this facility is not meeting the test in his mind. And he called me to see if he could relocate out of the jurisdiction he was in into another jurisdiction, which he can. However, you got to establish legal residence. You got to know who your team of people are that are going to give you care when you relocate. The place you're relocating has to make sure that you qualify for admittance to that facility under Medicaid, under that state guideline, not the same as where he's coming from. And he's got to have a network of people that he can trust with no money. Now, to his credit, he's got a substantial settlement from a work-related injury. It's in a trust. And so he felt that he had all this money. I said, but you can't tap it because your attorney set it up where it could not be dispersed to be used for Medicaid. What? Well, I thought that was my money. Well, that's a conversation between you and your attorney from that state. But his bottom line, and hear me well, this man was a professional, and life showed up. And he didn't have enough time in on his job, 10 years. He needed 20 to get pension disbursement. So he gets Social Security disability, which is $1,500 a month. The nursing home is $10,000. The shortfall comes from Medicaid. Now, why would his attorneys put this in a trust that he could not touch? That money that's in that trust will pay out when he dies. The federal and state government will get whatever bill, money, whatever they've incurred is coming out of that trust money. And so you say, well, why don't they pay for it now? Why can't they tap it now? Because it's in a trust that's payable upon his death. He can stay in the facility and pick up subsidy money, and they have the comfort of knowing that when he leaves, they'll be paid. Will it make them walk the straight and narrow? Viewers, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know this, that where he wants to relocate is not a slam dunk, because the truth of the matter is he's only got his $1,500 a month to live on. And that is being used to offset his total expenses. So it's important that you understand how this stuff works. When you say, well, I just put mom on Medicaid. Medicaid, we got Medicare. Well, yeah, you got Medicare if she's 65 and over. But that does not resolve the nursing home dilemma. Number one, what's her income? Is she eligible for Medicaid? Or will she have to depend upon private resources? Not Medicare. Medicare does not pay for long-term custodial care. Medicare does not cover your expenses related to the facility. It does a great job of paying for your doctors, for your medicine, and for your DMEs. That's your designated devices such as wheelchairs and stuff. Does a good job. It is not going to pay for your care unless it's under rehab and there's a designated window of how long it will pay for that in a facility. Know these things, viewers, before getting out here in the real world and looking at what do I need to do. resource, go to Medicare.gov. Start with that one and know what they cover and what they don't. If you're currently 65 and over, look at the plan that you have and make some decisions. If you don't understand it, then I'm going to suggest to you Medicare will be your best resource. They are extremely careful. I would tell you to call me, but I don't know if I can help you. I say that because you're the public and I don't know your situation. And it was like the gentleman I spoke to the other day who came to me on a three-way because my daughter was his close personal friend, and she was wise enough to tell him, I'm not doing anything until we talk to my mother. Why? Because I watched my mother do this for 40 years. And she really does know what she's talking about. So that's what we did. And it was not a good outcome because he can't relocate. She cannot assume guardianship, nor would she want to. Let the nursing home do it. And because of the manner in which his trust is set up, which I shared with him, I need to review the trust. I'm not going to charge you, but we've got to figure out how to get you to optimize your level of care, because as a result of his previous situation, he has had to have his leg amputated and he is blind. And it's a tragic story because of absence of planning and care and thinking based on his friend's report, because your friends always, oh, you can do this. Are they trained and licensed professionals? I said this on television in the past. I said it on radio. It offended a lot of people. Well, my mother, well, unless your network are licensed professionals in this industry, you cannot believe anything they say. Everybody has a right to an opinion. This is America. We're a democracy. You have an opinion, but do not look any deeper than that. And in the final analysis, do your own research, which you can do because Google is real, and consult a professional advisor, such as myself. There are others. Don't be closed-minded, okay? So in his case, he got advice from the wrong people that told him that he could invade the trust, take money out as he wanted, to relocate and do this and that, and he discovered he could not. He's mad. I'm calling my attorneys, by all means do. You're going to pay them after they tell you this is what you set up. And sorry, whether you like it or not, Medicaid is paying the majority of your stay at that facility. So that's what you are. Now, let's give an example based on rates and payment type. And also, if you want to go back and resource this yourself, be my guest. I am committed to people having as much information, accurate information as possible. And I am not so vain as to think that I am the only person that knows. But the rules are the same. Bad advice is bad advice. Dealing with people that are not credentialed, you suffer. You suffer because these rules don't change because you do. There's an excellent resource called CareScout.com. And they have In my estimation, and I resource a lot of people, this is excellent stuff. Easy to read, understand. Helps you to work through those things that you need to work through to know what you have to do. Now, how does Medicaid work? Well, that was the last show. But please be aware, and this is a case in point from last night. You're approved for Medicaid long-term care, and your income is $800 a month. $730 has to go to the facility costs, and $70 a month might be held for your use for takeout food, new clothing, haircuts, and social outings. These are just hypothetical. In Ohio, it's $40 for these incidentals. And they take the entirety of all of her income based upon their guidelines. The Medicaid program subsidizes the difference between her total income of $3,100 and $12,000. That's $9,000 that we, the taxpayers, are paying for that situation. Are you all following me? He did not understand. He actually thought that the facility cost his Social Security check. His disability check, $1,500. I told him, absolutely not. Not in New York. Oh my gosh. They're paying easily $13,000. They subtract out yours, and the rest is out of their pot, which is split with the state that you domicile in, you live in. He said, well, using your formula, I don't have any money. And I told him, that's why your attorneys set it up like that. Because they wanted you to max out on what you could be eligible for under Medicaid. The trust is there. When you die, they will recover. And they will get those monies. Well, why? Because they provided you care. I don't like their care. It doesn't matter. You made that choice. At some time, you did. So I admonish those of you that are listening, the first thing I would exhort you to do, having nothing to do with your parents or any of these funding sources I'm going to talk about, none of that. You need to visit every nursing home that you are thinking about using. There are several guides that are national guides that you can get in pharmacies and grocery stores, senior guide. They list all these facilities. They also list whether they take Medicaid or not. Because if they don't take Medicaid and you don't have the money to pay, then you've got to find one that does. And you might as well start looking now, because that's not a simple task. Not only do you want to look at the facility on paper, you want to check the state to see if they've had any investigations for poor care, financial malfeasance. That's all public information. The states do audit and inspect all these facilities. Why? Because they're taking federal money. You want to look at all that. And then you want to begin to rate them. You want to look at how the residents look. Do they look depressed? Are they about and up and about? You want to know, are you prepared to live there, or your family member? You need to look at private rooms and shared rooms. Medicaid does not allow you to have a private room. You're going to share it. Now, if your mother's grumpy and she's Medicaid qualified and she has to share a room, that could present a problem. Because if she was grumpy at home, she's going to be grumpy at the facility. So This is something you need to be aware of, that Medicaid is not a beginning or an end. It's simply a resource among others. There are other resources, and I want to talk to you about them, where we can begin to look at how you're going to pay for this. Well, the easiest way to pay is to, in fact, look at first on your pecking order, Medicare. Now, Medicare does not pay for custodial, but Medicare does pay a portion of rehabilitation. You need to know that information. And you need to know whether you're in the best plan available for your situation with the best doctors. The biggest mistake seniors make with Medicare is that they get involved in plans and their doctors are not in those plans, meaning they can't use that particular doctor. That is major, particularly when you look at doctors like lawyers and bankers, which is, well, I don't want anybody doing my work. I need this doctor. And I'm like, that's fine, but you need to be aware that he is not a part of your plan. So if he's not a part of your plan, then what do you need to do better? And I do share with people that sometimes you may have to change plans. It's okay. If you move out of the area, you will have to change plans unless that particular health carrier is in that neighborhood. It's a lot to learn, but you can go to Medicare.gov and you can begin the process of making those determinations. So let's look at what are your care options just before we get into funding them, because there are options. And again, I'm going to refer you to this carescout.com to give you a lot of the information you need. But the first thing is, what level of care, are you going to need? Are you going to need intermittent care for medications? In that case, you may do better to have a homemaker that comes in and disperses your medications and informally, but make sure she's been licensed. Don't have somebody in your house giving medications and they're not licensed. It's important to know with home care, that also known as personal care, refers to non-medical care provided in the comfort of your home. Many people are choosing this option as long as their condition is not too progressed. There are two types. There are homemakers and home health aides. Homemakers handle everyday tasks such as running errands, that's correct, unless you want to do it, managing finances, so make sure she's trustworthy and preferably bondable, meaning, if she steals, you would like to know that so that you don't hire her. And that includes jewelry. A lot of people make a mistake. Oh, she's such a nice lady. And then they do a criminal and find out that she's been in the penitentiary. That's major. The other thing with homemakers, not homemakers, but a home health aide, is professionally trained. The other one is not. Who helps with the activities of daily living, like bathing, dressing, or toileting, and instrumental activities of daily living, like preparing meals and shopping for groceries. Now, you may not think that takes a lot of time, because they do charge by the hour. But the reality is, do you have time? Or does mom and her husband have time to prepare meals safely, okay, particularly dealing with Alzheimer people, safely, because they'll burn up everything, including the house. So you want to be careful about that, as well as grocery shopping. If she's going to go to the groceries Is your mom going to be unsupervised? Is your dad capable of watching her? Is he capable of watching himself? Okay, so here we are there. Home health care is also for those needing assistance with medical needs such as injections, wound dressing, medication management, and health monitoring. These are typically your registered nurses. Why? Because she's been trained on medications. You don't want somebody, again, it's back to professionals again. How do you work through this? If she is not the same as your home health care, okay? So you want to look at those options for looking at this. Again, like I said, the homemaker does all the shopping, finances, cooking, errands, and transportation. They can also be employed to provide companionship. I have a number of associates who do nothing but are there at night. They're there from 6 at night to 6 in the morning. And you can say, you got to pay that kind of money for them to be a companion? Yes, you do. Because nighttime is the worst time for everything, period. Many of them suffer from sundowning. It may be you, which is you come alive like a bat at night. During the day, you want to sleep. So again, with the homemaker, that's usually private pay. If you have long-term care insurance, your policy might cover these costs. However, in looking at long-term care policies, and be reminded that I am licensed to provide them, I do continuing education every year to stay current on it because it's changing so quickly. And we have a variety of carriers from paying you cash at home to institutional. It depends on what you want. You don't know what you want until you've done an evaluation of what you think you're going to need. And that can change. That can absolutely change, but at least you are aware. Again, with the home health aides, they provide more extensive and hands-on assistance in the area of bathing, dressing, housekeeping, and transportation. Okay, they charge slightly more than the, let me see here, I want to make sure I'm giving you the right information. They charge slightly more than homemakers, okay, because of the intensity of their work. I talked about in a previous show, adult daycare health care, which is supervised care and activities for adults who need companionship, because it gets lonely, or support with mobility and daily functions. This care is typically paid privately, although there are some long-term care insurance plans and Medicaid community-based waivers. Remember that. That will cover that most affordable option compared to them staying at home or in senior living communities. Okay, so you may have to check, you may have to see. I'm talking about now. Things change, but you want to know where things are now. Not to be facetious, but I have been in facilities where people in their 50s are in long-term care. Why are they there? Well, one lady is in a facility, and they're never going to say why she's there, but I will tell you why she's there. Because the anesthesiologist gave her too much anesthesia during her surgery when she was fine, and after she came to, she was not fine. So she is there under 24-hour care for a medical mishap. Do they happen? Come on, are people human? Have you not watched Grey's Anatomy? Stuff does happen. And it's not necessarily your fault. Stuff happens. So, again, you want to consider this type of care. You want to check whether adult daycare is a covered service by the state and that transportation, etc., may not be covered. So you need to know that. Assisted living. This is very popular for seniors today. That means they're residential centers that provide some nursing and personal care services. Some assisted living only accept private pay. Those are the ones I'm familiar with, or long-term care. As with other forms of care, check your provisions for long-term care before you get involved. First, to find out if it's covered, and then to find out the amount of coverage. Some assisted living communities, now this is interesting, participate in Medicaid's home and community-based waiver programs. These waiver programs may cover individuals who are assessed to be nursing home eligible. However, most assisted living communities do not participate in the waiver program, and some waiver programs only cover personal care provided in the facility, not room and board. So again, it varies by state and it varies considerably. You're going to have to do your homework. Back to nursing homes, which is nursing homes can offer short-term rehab paid by Medicare, and it generally covers 100 days of skilled nursing facility care per benefit period. The first 20 days are typically 100% covered by Medicare, while the remaining 80 days require a co-payment. So when people tell you Medicare covers all rehab, no. Read the guide and get the answer. Costs vary, but I will say that for a semi-private room in 2024, it was $9,227. That varies up, rarely down. For a private room, it's $10,646. You got to make the decision whether you want to stay in a shared situation or not. Okay? That you have to determine. The final thing is, how do you manage this stuff? And like I've said to people, when you look at what is the optimal environment for you, if it's for you and you're doing the evaluation, what is optimal for you? Okay? What does that look like? And then proceed accordingly. Medicare is available for rehab short-term. Medicaid, if you're eligible, is income-driven, asset-specific. You can also look at cash value in your life insurance contract that you can borrow off and get in cash. That's available. You can look at leveraging your home to get money through a reverse mortgage. Oh, no! What? If you may lose your home anyway, why not leverage it and get some money out tax-free to help you with your payments? What is wrong with that? You can also look at annuities and other investable assets. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're in the stock market and you're trying to pull money out to fund these things, it's going to cost you depending upon what asset you're in. But you should at least be look at what's available to pull out. The same thing for life insurance settlements. You got a bunch of old policies, sell them, get the money, deal with the taxes, but get rid of them because you don't need what you don't need. And finally, and most importantly for many people, is the issue of annuities. Annuities are only offered by insurance companies, and they will offer a cash benefit, okay, depending upon what you select. And you can't buy annuities from the bank. Bank, they'll do your savings, your CDs, but annuities come from life insurance companies, specific companies that specialize in annuities. And as I tell everyone, there are all kinds of annuities out here. Some that will cut you a check every month, some that will cut you a check every year, and some who will not cut you a check, period, but will allow your money to accumulate in the account, ideal for rollovers and that type of thing. Just being able to get the stuff. So what I counsel most of my people is to get liquid and to get free. Stop talking about the stock market when, if you have a health crisis, you're going to need the money. And this is where this denial thing comes in my head. Well, I'm going to stay in the stock market because you can't lose. Yes, you can. People lose every day. People make money every day. But at your age, don't you want to be in a place where you are stable and not stressed out? Don't you want that? Or do you want to continue to play? And this is something, that's another show. You want to play at 80? When you may be gone at 80? Don't you want to make sure that these instruments that are available and can liquidate quickly are available? Okay? It helps to be able to get your money when you need it. That includes bank accounts and other assets that tend to be more liquid. They don't include your home. If you are funding for a nursing home situation, maybe you need to sell your home and get the money. Well, I have to pay capital gains. Well, you haven't seen the nursing home bill yet, have you? And they don't give payment terms. They want their money when they send the bill. It's not a net 30 with most of them. If you owe $12,000 this month, you better write a check for $12,000. So one of the things I'm struggling with as an advisor, I went through it with my parents, I went through it with other clients. You accumulate all this money because that's what you're trained to do. Let's make money on this. Let's do this. But the sad reality is that all that money you make may very well be necessary for your provisions in a facility, whether it be assisted or whether it be a skilled care. And that's not inexpensive. I'm so serious. Look at this guidebook that I recommended and see what it's going to cost you on a monthly basis to stay in a private pay facility. Look at the best facilities and what they're getting. Now, I do not recommend, and I'll be matter of fact about it, I don't recommend people plopping all their money in one place that goes graduated. You start here and you move up the food chain. I don't like that. I've seen some mishaps, and I prefer for people to be in facilities that offer them what they want at that time, and that you're budgeted and that you're prepared to pay for it. I'm also asking, before I conclude this show, you need to identify somebody that you can trust. Okay? They don't have to be smart. I just don't want them to be a thief. They have to love you. If it's a family member, they better love you. They can be dumb as rocks, but as long as they love you and they're trying to do the right thing, well, that means a lot to me. It really does. And for the record, we all know the dirty little secret. We know who's going to do you right, and we know who's going to do you wrong. And I'm sorry, it's not sex specific. Women will steal from you, forge your signature, alter documents, just like men will. We think badly of women that do it. Like, oh my God, you need to think badly of anybody that does it. Because that's such a horrible, horrible experience at this point in your life. So by all means, identify at least 2 people that you can trust and then ask them. Do not put their names in documents like an emergency. I got two calls last week from agencies where a person had put my name down as an emergency contact. I don't even know the person. And I told her, I said, I'm so sorry, but I'm not consenting. Well, why? Why? I don't know this person. What? Yeah, I'm on television. They probably wrote it down because they saw me on TV. But you want to be careful about giving your name for that, because that brings up a whole nother thing. Why haven't they asked somebody like a family member, church member, somebody they can trust, who will do that? What's wrong with that? Or is it that they're not trustworthy and their paranoia is that I'm going to meet somebody just like me? I mean, people do some things when they're older. Just because you're older does not mean you're better. It just means numerically you're older. So what am I saying with all of this? I'm saying to you that you should be willing to invest the time and the research into what is needed to pay for nursing home care. It's not as simple as you think, and you would want to know that information before that time took place. I'm just saying to you that nursing home is traumatic as it is. I applaud the industry. I did not say they were perfect, but neither are you. Because as I told one woman, I said, when's the last time you changed your mother when she had a big one? And how did you handle that? And she looked at me and she said, well, I would never do something like that. Oh, you wouldn't change your mommy's diaper? But it's okay for somebody else to do it. Is that what you're telling me? Then I'm telling you, you better look at yourself, because somebody may have to change you, or your husband, or your significant other, or whomever. That may fall on someone else's feet. So you may want to look at that in terms of your planning. But I encourage everyone who has been watching me to tap into your resources, to visit facilities, to ask questions, and to pay attention to smells. Smells are a trigger. A facility should not be smelling. But if you go at night, you'll probably find out that that's a lot of that, because that's when they go to the potty in their diaper. And you would like to know how long they are in the diaper and what they do as a facility to eliminate those odors. I have so appreciated this 4-part series. You can go back on YouTube and watch all 4 to get answers question, or you can begin to do the raw research yourself. Whatever you choose, know I'm available. I'm the Money Lady. I bless you. I love you. And take care of yourself and your family. Bye-bye.